Well, hello. We have arrived. I know, we'll be late. That's all right. We're here though. And like I said, we always like to be here. It's just that life can be interesting and things can get in the way. I suppose that's ministry. It's probably ministry in a nutshell. Things get in the way. In a good way. Nothing uh causing issues if we don't see issues, I suppose. Anyway, enough of the personal babbly. Let's get to that wisdom. You know, it's interesting that God has so much of this wisdom. Uh, and somewhere out there is somebody that requires just that piece at that time. And God makes sure that piece at that time is heard. And it's life changing. The rest of everybody else might be sitting there going, well, I already knew that, or might have known it, kind of understood it, saw it as a possibility there. Somewhere around there, it is. But here's something to think on for a moment. If you could ask that one question that we always come to eventually in our existence that kind of will help us define ourselves, but we're kind of embarrassed about asking it. It's like, um, telling that clerk that's so excited that they found shoes that is still one size too tight. I can walk in them, but ouch, it kind of hurts. But I don't want to disappoint the poor guy, but one more size up would be so much more beneficial. It's that type of energy. That question that could change your universe, your whole being. Yes, that question. That one. Yep, right in the corner. Now, that's the one you're running away from right about now. Yep, that's it. But what if you could ask it? What if you could get an answer? That would change you, right? You know, it's like that person that had been doing that same thing for a long time. Somebody comes along and goes, if you hold it this way, oh my whole back is changed. Oh, that got rid of the pain. Oh yeah, that's a good way to hold that thing. Hasn't done really that much, but he just shifted that person's entire universe. They're not in pain anymore, doing what they love doing. And it's all about holding it differently. That's astonishing, isn't it? That a few little words could change everything. You That moment, that big business deal that you're just not feeling right about, but hey, you're going to sign it because your company's going toasted and you need this. You really require it. And it doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right, but you're going to go for it anyway. And then that person just walks beside you and goes, you know, if you do these three things, dot, 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 you don't need to do that. Just say it. And they keep going. And you stand there for the next hour, miss the meeting completely, which you don't care about anymore, looking kind of weird standing on a sidewalk for that time, but with your mind going cleety, 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 clunk. Whoa. Yeah, he's right. Okay, I don't need them. They don't feel right, so I'm just going to phone them and say, I apologize, but I'm not going through with it. Goodbye. Probably going to get very upset, but that's all right. We'll work that out. And goes and does those three things, and oh my, a couple of months later, business is amazing. Everything is happening differently. But what are those things? Messengers. That's what they are. From God, with you asking. And Gabriel's group. Yeah, those Gabriel angels. They up, out, and they're coming. And they're going. And they're coming. And they're going. And they're coming. And they're going. And that's you. But they eventually arrive. Always. Probably at that exact moment that you're supposed to get it. Isn't that interesting? You know, once had a person literally would reach out to me maybe once every month. That was my very first and very last retainer. That person paid me a whole 50,000 a year. Oh boy. I will admit that I haven't allowed God to stand in that space, but I have released to that space again. And he would ask a question and everything would literally fall into place for him because God had an answer. He happened to use this prophetic voice. Yes, I'm going to say it's prophetic because it is. That's my calling. I can't run away from it. I have tried sometimes. This is who I am. Sometimes God gives me an answer. That answer changes the world. Well, this person thought it was worth that. Now, might say, well, what happened to that relationship? Well, he passed happily in his situation, giving everything to the people that he wished to give it to and making sure it would be well looked after. And none of them continued. And that's fine. Yet, think about this for a moment. If somebody came along and gave you 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever that magic number in your head is, and yes, it's a magic number because it fixes everything, right? But what if God gave you less or more than that? When God gives you a different understanding, that could be interesting, couldn't it? But it only takes so many of these to cover that. And you can get those. One of the things that I love to do is sit with people and figure out what they are and how they operate according to God's standard. And I've launched people. I watched it happen. I didn't have much to do with it. God had the greatest, amazing, wonderful energy to just push this person out. And there they are, doing what they're doing, what they came to do, their unique talent operating uniquely. Do you know that that guy, until he passed, it was like, it worked for me, it worked for him? Well, only 2 years. But in that 2 years, he was able to settle everything into place, and he knew somehow he was going. I knew somehow he was going, and it was worth it, 100%. Just imagine what that would be like. Just imagine that. For now, this is just a talk on that possibility of the infinite possibilities that God can open. That's what I'm going to call this, is wisdom on infinite possibilities. Not going to air it out too much. And the thing, just say it's a talk that you should listen to in case it's for you. Yeah, it's astounding to go from one place to another. In a little while, you'll see what I mean. There's some changes coming, good ones. You'll see. But for now, let's leave it there. And very simply, I'm going to say this one time. You can stop and rewind, stop, rewind till you hear it. Or could I say it 3 times? Would that be better for you? Does it resonate that way? Let's see. This is Eric at starthealing.me. Eric at starthealing.me. That's Eric at starthealing.me. Reach out to me. Ask for a link. I'll give you a link. We'll talk. Maybe that will be that conversation that changes everything in your existence. Who knows? You won't know till you give it a go. And it's without cost. Yes, I do actually put a coin rate or nourishment rate. Yes, without using that other word. This isn't one I wish to use. I wish to be nourished. I wish to have coin in my pocket. Yes. And I wish to be nourished in many more ways than that. We'll talk about that. That isn't the important thing. You reach out, you get an answer to a question that may change your existence. That's worth it, isn't it? Let's leave it there. Well, that story's got interesting. I mean, the Enders are on the way back to find their leader in a bubble. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. There's been a lot going on in this city. A lot of people come and go, and we don't really get to connect to many of them, do we? Or do we? Maybe there's somebody in that city that you know about that I don't yet. Yes. God could have told you a story other than my story. You know? And tonight, we'll kind of leave that big space for a moment of time. Still in the story, still connected, but we're not connecting to the lady or the prince or the dragon or the dwarfs or the main characters, I guess you would call them. We're going to connect to somebody that wandered into that city when it was a small thing, found a small place to stay. We're going to connect to her and what's happening with her and the changes that have occurred because people cared for her for the first time in her existence. And as she sits in that small space that she has in the city and she feels good about it, and she hums as she makes these little items for others that tuck this, move that. She's good at sewing. Lady noticed that and gave her some patterns. And she's been using it as commerce in a good way. She's been trading for things. She wanted some honey. She made some things. And then those people that landed, well, they've had some issues with the teleporter and clothing. So they're staying within their city, within their own spaces, within their own places, where only those that know them are around them, and most of them are kind of hiding in their own rooms. Yeah, well, the clothes were optional, right? One guy found some, and that's how he was able to talk to everyone. No one else has them. So she's diligently working away, sewing this and that as quickly as she can. The mage realized that she required something a little bit more substantial than the one that she was using, so they gave her a magic one. And she loves it because it helps her. It will continue to sew while she can do cutting out of patterns. And then this that is the seamstress sees two little girls that seem to be without anyone. She goes, "Where's your mom and dad?" "Oh, they didn't make it here. That was terrible. But we did. And we've been well looked after by everybody. They give us cookies and make sure we get tucked in and get stories, and it's all amazing." "So what you doing here?" "Oh, this is fascinating to watch. What you do? It's so cool." What's your ages? Well, I'm in my adolescence. I soon will be an adult, I suppose, and this is my little sister, and she's a little younger than me. But we're good with her hands. Are you wanting to learn? Well, that would be nice, and if you didn't mind, that room over there looks nice. Yes, if you wish to stay in that room and learn from me, you can. I just ask you to help around, keep things tidy. Well, we can do that. We've never had our own place. We've been amongst them. It isn't that they didn't offer. It's just it didn't feel right. This feels right. The seamstress chuckles. She goes, "You want to learn? Yes. Come cut patterns with me. Many people to clothe." And these two little girls, they were seamstress in the making, both of them. And they were good at what they were doing. They they took attention to detail, and she was quite happy to have them. And when they completed the first day and they were really exhausted, she fed them really good food. They liked that food. And then they curled up in that room and she made sure they had a place to sleep. She went and bartered some of her sewing skills for that to get something to put in that room that would be accommodating to those two girls, that they could stay close but have their own spaces. And it worked out. And she was happy. She was working away and slowly sending clothes, and these individuals in that city were so happy to receive them. Other people that could sew found out what she was doing and said, "We will help." And so she showed the patterns that she was doing that had been given to her by the city, and she had been making these clothes, and so they started to make them too. Soon they had quite the sewing bee going on, at least 15 people making clothes. And after a little while, they had made all the clothes necessary somehow for all of the people that were left in the city. And they were able to come out, be communal and come and hang out in the city where all the people were that they didn't know yet. But that's how her life had been. For as long as she could remember, she always helped where she could. That's why she loved the way this community works. They help each other. She went over to the lady that cooked and she said, I now have two other mouths. And the lady goes, I noticed, but they really love you. Yeah. And they're really awesome at this. There's your apron. We fixed it and we added that extra pocket you talked about for your salt. Oh, good. That salt shaker always gets knocked every which way. But putting it in there, I'll know where it is and I can use it. Thank you. What do you require? Just something to feed the troops, as they say. Got that city all clothed? Yep, yeah, that's done. Took us about 20 days, but we got it done. Just kind of putting away each day after day. Those girls were amazing. I think we could get them a little treat, maybe to some of that strawberry cake that you make. Well, it gets made. I know that it's community effort and there's ladies involved in all of that, but I mean, I'm just here. Oh, yeah, you can have a piece of that cake, and I'll give you some of this bacon tomato sandwich if you want. Oh, yeah, that'd be great. I think they'd enjoy that. Do you have any of those candies you make? Oh, yeah, I got a bag of those. I'll give you those. I have a pair of pants that are like my favorite, and I caught them on something. Did you give them a little mend? Oh, yeah. I'll fix them up, actually. You want to wear them out? Yes. Okay. I'll rebuild them for you. How's that? Oh, that'd be awesome. Here, have another bag of candy. And so she went back with a bag for each of them and some food. and some cake. And they were pretty incredibly happy. And this is how her life went. The girls stayed with her and they still went around to the different people that had been kind to them and they spent time there. They were always back to the seamstress, and the seamstress was always kind to them, but also taught them how to sew. And this was her life. People would come and ask for things, and sometimes she would have to go and see the lady and see if she could get a pattern, and the lady always gave it to her. Sometimes the lady would ask her to do something, and she would do that. That's how community worked. She thought her life was very mundane, but, you know, there came a day where a darkness came over the whole planet. Whatever was up there was huge. And the lady and Douglas went up to see what that was, and then they came back and said that they're great creatures of space. They live in space. They have an issue. We're working to solve it. And she was looking up, she going, well, I probably couldn't do much at all. And then a lady came to her and said, one of them has been wounded somehow. And your stitching skills may be useful. I can bubble you, you can go up and stitch that wound. That would help them. Maybe you could bandage them. She said, I could stitch for sure. She said, I've never stitched flesh, but I'm willing to give it a go. Okay. That would be helpful for that one. I'll give you some cloth that you can use and tie together to cover the wound. All right. When she was up there in that bubble and stitching, everyone was watching. There was about 10 of them. They were very much eyeing her, but very much trusting her that she was doing good. And when it was finished, the one that had been wounded actually turns its head kind of groggily and goes, oot, which she somehow understood meant thank you. And she said, no problem. And she got it all bandaged up. And then she found herself going around, and people would have been interested to see what was happening with her. She was going to each one, and they were holding up things and going, Lee, Lee. Ah, that's torn, is it? Yeah, and yeah, Lee, Lee. Yes, okay. Let's see what we can do. She came up with webbing to help heal it, sewed pieces of flesh of these creatures until they were all better. It took her days, months. The little ones wanted to come up and help, and they were pretty good at sewing, so she let them come up and she supervised, but they did a good job. There were a couple of other sewers that she thought of, and she asked if they could come help. And by the time it was finished, everyone was prepared and looked after. And it seemed that they required something else of a sewing nature. And then the lead one, the one that had been leading them, opened a little pouch on itself and out flowed a very interesting looking fabric. And with pointing and stuffing and things, they explained that some of these that were worsely injured would require some sort of sail to move them along for a while. letting them rest so that they didn't have to exert energy to move. And it would take, a proper way to connect it so that it didn't harm them, but that they could use it in a way that they could somehow deploy it when necessary and roll it away when not. Basically, I had their mouse. So she worked with the girls and a couple of people that showed up that the lady had sent up, and they worked together. I worked long hours, another 20 some days or so of sewing and working with frames. And there was a man that liked to weave with branches and pieces of metal as well. And eventually they got the sails working and the mouth controls were there. And they could roll it up or put it out. And they were all very happy. They were going on a journey to the land where they would mate and birth their young. And they asked the lady what she was called, and she said, you can just call me the seamstress. And I said, we will name some the seamstress. She said, thank you. It's an honor. And I said, one had somehow been able to be inside her mind and speak her language. It wasn't the leader, it was someone else within the group. They all moved off eventually. They all went home, and the seamstress sat in her little house with the girls and a couple of others, and they were all sitting there going, oh, wasn't that a grand adventure? Yes. And somebody walked in and said, I hear that you have better attire than what I have right now. And I looked at the person, it was pretty tattered, and they go, oh, we can make you some clothes. And they pulled out a little jar of honey, and I said, we have come from a far place, and we have honey, and we have the bees, and they are with us. They will make more honey than this. This is but a down payment. And the seamstress said, no, no, for what you require, this is quite sufficient. This will make my bread happy for a long while. One looked and said, if that's all you require, then I will send others of our group. And we will do this similar exchanges for other things that we have. We have spices and things. She goes, oh, yes, that's how it works here. Oh, cool. He goes, when can you have this done? Oh, by tomorrow afternoon, I think. Is that okay? Yeah, that's fine. Do you have something I can wear in the meantime? Because that's it. That's all I escape with. And it sometimes happens for us refugees. I understand. I have these. Oh, those would be perfect. What do I owe you for those? Oh, the honey pays for that. That's fine. Oh, you are so generous. The seamstress says, ah, no. The honey, it's really good. I like honey. Oh, and he said, well, I have this little spice, which may make even the honey sweeter. She'd never seen it before. It didn't really have a name in her language. In his, it was almost sugar. But it wasn't. It did something to the sugar that made it actually more augmented and more flavorful. And she was really happy with that. And so the seamstress had had a bit of a time for the last few months. Well, the ones were growing, of course, and figuring out more of seamstress stuff, and they really liked it and enjoyed it. She looked and she made a tea for herself and for that nice person that had just come. And they put a little honey in each and enjoyed it together. And I will go now and I will come tomorrow and get my nice clothes. Yes. Let's leave it there. What do you think of that? Just a simple story, isn't it? The seamstress. Well, she did happen to help out a few well, we'll call them whales. And, you know, did a few other things for people. Just a part of the intricate matrix of a sanctuary, sanctum, place of refuge. Let's have a blessing. We give you the blessing of refuge and the blessing of a sanctuary and a sanctum and what they really mean for you in joy and peace, in hope, and all of the things of creativity and ingenuity, all the things that God will paint for you with his brush, according to his will and wisdom, according to your will and wisdom. This can be. So, as we move forward, yeah, let's have a word of prayer. We come before you, Father, Spirit, Son, and sometimes it's nice to hear the little stories. The big ones also have a meaning, but the little ones, just that average day, everyday kind of thing. You weave those moments into our life where we can have that every day, average day, but it's quite amazing, isn't it? That it all flows together. And here we are, you know? And let's leave it in your hands with your grace and mercy and your courage and strength. We continue. And so we say thankful, grateful, gratitude, thankful, grateful, gratitude, thankful, grateful, gratitude, standing in awe and honor, respect, allowing all glory to flow. The Father, Spirit, Son. This is, and so this is. When you rest, rest well. When you wake, wake well. And know that your path is well lit by God. Blessings.